Hi, Haley. Sorry we can't be in the same office today, but you just got back from a wonderful trip, didn't you? You went to Texas?
I did. I was in San Antonio, so that was really fun.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this week's topic on perfectionism.
Yes. I can definitely relate to that. A lot of times people get paralyzed by perfection, and if they can't be perfect, then they just don't do it at all. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients. I don't know about you. A lot of clients, will come in and in their original assessment, I can tell immediately what their expectations of themselves are. And it makes me a little bit nervous because it's impossible to be perfect on this program. And if we come in with that, they'll tell me right out the gate, I'm going to follow everything 100%. I'm going to do everything you tell me to do. I am not going to mess up. I'm not going to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And I think that's just setting themselves up to feel, when they do mess up, they're just setting themselves up to feel bad about themselves.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. Same thing, when people come in for their assessment, they'll tell me, I have all or nothing mentality. For me, it's 0 to 100. There is no middle ground. And that is just not realistic when we talk about making this a lifestyle change.
Right.
Because I, for one, am not just going to eat egg whites and spinach and ground turkey for the rest of my life.
Exactly. Who wants to eat chicken and brown rice and broccoli? And, people don't necessarily do that. We try to, in the session, come up with new recipes and look at different ideas of how to combine food, because this has to be a lifestyle change. And I think if people go into the attitude, well, for 12 weeks, I can be perfect, but then what? Right?
Yeah.
Then it may possibly turn out like everything else in the past that they may have tried. Like, they might go into everything that they do saying, okay, I can be perfect for this period of time. But we're really looking for not perfection. We're looking for small lifestyle changes that they can sustain the rest of their lives, right?
Yeah, no, I think you're completely right. And I think also the idea when we're talking about perfectionism and goal setting and following your program, what is perfect? Because is perfect being, getting every single bite in on your menu that you're supposed to have? Is perfect never criticizing yourself or thinking I should be thinner, this should be happening faster? What is this perfect state of being that everybody wants to achieve? Because it's like we said, it doesn't really exist.
It doesn't, as much as we want it to, because we think that if we're perfect, then our results are going to be better. But that's not necessarily true, right?
No.
Because some weeks you could be 100% spot on, and your expectation is that your results should be 100%. Some people might be expecting 5 pounds based on their effort, or 5% body fat. I prefer it when people focus more on body fat in inches rather than the scale. I think that data is so barbaric, and it doesn't really reflect how somebody's doing, because there's too many other factors to take into consideration when you step on the scale: muscle weight, water weight, bone density.
Yeah, constipation. If you just work out, you're going to be heavier.
Right.
I think you're right. It can be really discouraging if you feel like I'm doing everything and it's not happening fast enough.
Right.
Because we're all trained and conditioned to see all these, super extreme before and after pictures, and to think that should be something that happens immediately. I should lose 5 pounds a week, no matter what. And especially for women, that's, not really the case.
Right. So just for instance, I have a client. I'll be really excited about the results because I know the results are exactly where they should be, or even ahead of schedule. But I had a client, a young boy, 17. He just got a full scholarship to a university for soccer, so he's an athlete. But his college coach, told him that he needed to put on weight. Well, obviously not body fat, but all muscle. How hard is that to be training 5 days a week, all that cardio, lifting weights, and you're already underweight, and now your coach says put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle weight? So he signed up for a 6-week program. And I really believed, because when we got to 6 weeks, 4 weeks, it was 4 weeks in, he had already put on 7 pounds of lean muscle tissue. And I'm like, oh my God, I was freaking out. I'm like, that is amazing with your workout schedule and your training and how much food you have to eat. And the fact that you lost body fat in your abdomen and your waist, but you put on all this muscle tissue. Look at your inches, they're growing. And I was thrilled with, I think, the 6 pounds of lean mass that he put on in 4 weeks. That's me,
crazy.
After 30 years, that is crazy hard. And he was like, oh, I was hoping it would be faster. Like, I think he signed up for the 6 week thinking he would put on 15 pounds of lean muscle in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think really managing your expectations when you start something like this is really important and a big key to a client's success, because what should the expectation be? Yeah. And it's different for everybody, right?
Different for everybody, different based on how much time you have, your ability, how often can you grocery shop, how much time you have in a day. I work with clients who are doctors, or they're in, surgical units where they literally cannot leave exactly every 3 hours to get their shakes. I mean, based on what you have as your lifestyle, there's only so much that you can do. And I think focusing on, this is not pass or fail to be in the program.
Right.
It's not that you're winning or you're losing. It's this journey that you're on.
It is a journey. It's a lifelong journey. So I really want to encourage everybody that's watching this video to change their mindset about that. Don't try not to look at this. And I know it's hard because we feel like when we first start, oh my gosh, I couldn't possibly do this the rest of my life, right? The first 2 weeks are incredibly overwhelming. They're difficult. They're stressful. They feel like they have to give up their entire life and stay home so they can isolate themselves from any food or alcohol or anything out there. And they're like, is my life going to really be this way? And it's because they come in with that attitude of, I have to be perfect. And that means me not having a life.
Yeah.
So the first 2 weeks are over with, and then people kind of settle in a little bit and they're like, okay. And then they loosen up a little bit and they're like, all right, well, staying home and not hanging out with my friends is not going to be an option. So let's find a lifestyle change that is an option. And I just want to encourage people to really think about what we've been talking about, mindset, working on the small things each week that make up the long-term results, because the end goal is a sustainable lifestyle and maintaining your goals, right? The rest of your life. Like, you don't want to just lose the weight for a short period of time and then gain it back again, right? What do you find with some of your clients?
I find something I see a lot, and this is something that I used to believe about myself, is that I needed to never cheat on my menu, work out 6 days a week, sleep 8 hours a night, drink all my water, take all of my supplements. I need to meditate. I need to do my inches. I need to, all these different things. I had this perfect, the ultimate healthy woman. Like, this is what she does. Because the internet, it makes you think that is what happens. And if I did all those things, I would not have time for the 8 hours of sleep.
I know. The only thing you got by doing that was becoming miserable, right?
Yeah. No one can exercise that much. So often, too, I find people say, they're like, I'd really like to get active. And so I say, okay, let's set a goal for activity. And they say, well, I'm going to start working out every day. Yeah. And that's just a huge goal that you're destined to fail, because you're going, once again, 0 to 100.
Exactly.
So well, how about just one workout in the whole week compared to what you were at, which was 0? I mean, that can have a big impact on your results. That can move the number on the scale.
Yeah. It's funny because I laugh at myself too, because I've been a nutritionist, right, for 30 years. And when I was pregnant, both times I gained 60 pounds in each pregnancy. And we know as women, when we deliver, Haley, you will find out the first 20 comes off pretty easily. Yeah. And then after that, I had to work for that 40. And I felt like I knew nothing about nutrition. I would weigh myself. I'd become frustrated. I thought that I did what everybody else does, even with all the information I had and even knowing what I know. I think it's just a subconscious thing that we do to ourselves. And it took me almost a year to take off 40 pounds. Even knowing what I know, it was hard. I had to breastfeed. I was emotional. My hormones were all over the place. But I can remember, putting on a pair of jeans like once a week saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe they don't fit yet. And of course, when you first deliver, you think you're so thin because you're used to being really huge. And then you deliver and the baby's gone. And you're like, yay, I can't wait to get into my old jeans.
Yeah.
And then you put them on and you can't get them up past your knees, crying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought, gosh, with all the information I had, and I do work out, I thought for sure I can get this off in 4 or 5 months. Nope.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when you think about that, think of your expectation. 40 pounds, you thought in only a few months? Well, how many weeks in a year? If the average person loses 1 pound a month, 1 pound a week.
Now that would be torture.
Well, that would be, 1 pound a month. Just give up.
Quit. I'm just kidding.
It's too hard. No, just kidding.
No, just check your thyroid. Really, if that's happening to you, get your thyroid checked, your TSH, your T4, and your free T3. Get your cortisol levels checked. Those are some obstacles you could be facing if you're really, truly struggling and putting, 80% effort in, 90%, 100% effort in, and that's your return. We need to start looking a little bit further into some other areas that could be slowing the process down. Yeah,
but sorry, what I meant to say was 40 pounds, losing about 1 pound a week, which is what we see in general. The fact that it took you almost a year makes complete sense. There's only, 52 weeks in a year?
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing. It's like, well, what's your expectation? Because even if you have the expectation and even if you are perfect, maybe it's going to take longer than you thought, or maybe, whatever else is going to happen. But.
Right. And I always try to look at the bright side. It did take me almost a year to lose 40 pounds twice. And I did feel like I had a lot of pressure on me because this is what I do for a living. And getting back to work, I was nervous and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't go back to work yet. And I need, right. So, people have high expectations, I think, of us too, and which can make it really challenging, and we can be very hard on ourselves. So I think I was going to say, what was I going to say? Where was I going with this menopausal moment? I don't know.
You're talking about just perfectionism with all of that and how you had all this external pressure on you to lose all that weight. And that
yeah, I did. And now, I was going to say now, the way I lost it was exactly how I needed to lose it because I was able to maintain it. I had my kids in my 30s and I've been able to maintain it within a 5 pound range. Obviously we all go up in weight a little bit and we've got to take it back off. But if you have the tools, that's okay. That's going to happen. But I've been able to maintain the weight this entire time. So I definitely lost it the right way. So if you feel discouraged, just think about, what do you want the rest of your life? Do you want to continue to lose weight, gain it back, lose weight and gain it back? A sure way to do that is losing your weight too fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And two, always just saying, if all you focus on is the numbers, you will always be unhappy. Because that scale, until that scale says 0, you're just going to keep setting a new low, a new low, a new low. It's like, oh, I thought I would look great at 160. I do. What if I was 150?
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm 150. What if I was 145?
Right.
Oh, and you just keep going down and going down. But people forget too, I'll have people come in and they'll say, I had a terrible week. I had an extra grain this week. And the fact that they're upset about that is actually kind of interesting because when I had first met them, maybe they were always overeating on carbs.
Right.
The fact that it's like, wow, you had 15 grams of carbs extra this week and you're upset by it? That is you're so aware of what you're eating now. That's a huge, you shouldn't be upset about having an extra grain. Don't get me wrong. That's not something to cry about or be sad about. But
it's going to happen.
Being that conscious of how you're eating, to me, is worth so much more than any pounds that you're losing that week.
Just being mindful of what you're putting in your mouth.
Yeah. Say, oh, I know how much food I'm supposed to have.
Right.
And how, I'm being consciously aware of my food choices now versus in the past.
Yeah. And, we've been talking a lot about mindset and changing the way we think. So if someone comes in and goes, oh, I just had a terrible week. I had an extra grain this week. Well, how about shifting that way of thinking, which will make you feel happier to, oh my gosh, I used to have, 500 grams of carbohydrate a week. And now I'm only had one extra. That's amazing. I am so proud of myself.
Yeah.
Really. And how you think about things will determine your happiness in life on every front, not just with this, but your job, the people in your life, your relationships. I mean, everything. And if you want to be happy, it all starts with changing the way you think.
I think that's so true. I mean, when talking about perfectionism and happiness will never coincide together.
Right.
Perfectionism is the killer of all happiness, I think.
Absolutely, it is.
And you're right. You have to have gratitude for how far you've come
Mm-hmm.
and focus on that instead of always feeling like I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not measuring up. Because
Right.
it's not a competition.
Exactly. It's not. And it's something I think we should celebrate more the lifestyle changes people are making, like drinking more water, not eating refined white sugar, exercising, walking every day when they wouldn't do anything.
You cut coffee 20 years.
Yes, I did 20 years, and I thought I could not start my day without it. That's how I started my day. Was brew the coffee. It was an experience. It was a ritual. I'd smell the coffee in the morning, and then I would sit there for 30 minutes, and that was my time. But then because I was using it with sugar-free Coffee Mate, and I know that's terrible, but I didn't care. I loved it so much. It made me so happy. I said, you know what? I'm not going to give up everything. I love this, and I'm happy with this. But then as you move through life, you realize that artificial sweeteners really aren't any benefit to your brain chemistry or your gut. And so if I couldn't, I tried drinking coffee black for a while, and I put turmeric and cinnamon in there, which is great for you. Turmeric is great for turning your white fat, which just sits around the organs, and that's the dangerous fat, to brown fat, which is the fat that's easily burned. So we want to transition our white fat to brown fat so we can burn it faster. And turmeric is great for doing that. But yeah, I just decided to give it up. And the first week was challenging, but after that, remember how Haley, you asked me how I felt. I'm like, I feel like I still drink coffee. Like I have the same amount of energy. Remember, I had the fist stick, and I was like, whoa.
I know you had one fist stick, and like bouncing off the walls in here.
It was crazy. So yeah, it was tough the first week, but then with commitment and determination, I just decided, you know what, I don't really need this. Why bother?
Would you say that what's your expectation for yourself? Are you never going to have another coffee again?
I'm not going to say that. Of course, I might, but seeing how caffeine affects me right now when I do I haven't with the fizz stick. I don't think I want to feel that way. It made me very jittery, and I'm already a very, hyper kind of person. High energy. So yeah, I didn't really. I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to beat myself up if I do.
That's what's important too. Is it's not about even if let's say you did go back to the coffee, that you can always stop drinking it again, and it doesn't mean I've undone all this great hard work that I've tried to create. It just means that you're continuing onward with your good choices.
Yeah, and I wouldn't feel like a failure.
No.
I'd just be like, I had coffee and I don't feel very good. So probably not going to do that again. But same thing with sugar. When I decide to eat sugar, of course, I mean, I don't feel guilty when I eat sugar. I'm like, well, that was so good. But, I think a lot of times I remember a funny story, people think we're really judging them. We're not. Like sometimes, so I've been in this field for so long that sometimes I'll run into clients at the grocery store, right? And they'll be shopping and they'll have all their food in the cart, and they practically are like this, hiding their cart. Like, don't look in my cart. Don't look at what I'm buying. And it's like, well, look at my cart. I'm not perfect either. I'm not sitting there. I'm not even paying attention to what you're putting in your cart. I'm happy to see you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, back to the sugar thing, I do eat sugar occasionally. And I know that I had a severe sugar addiction in high school, so I don't go there, but I enjoy a nothing bundt cake buntini like anybody else. So I just make sure it's worth it. Right?
Yeah. It's worth it, and that you're choosing it. It's not something that you're eating out of guilt or emotionally, like our topic was for last week. I think too, I hear the same thing. People come in and say, I had a really bad week. You're going to be really disappointed. And the only time I'm ever disappointed is when someone gives up on their program. That's the only way and I'm disappointed, not because I'm just disappointed because I want them to keep trying, keep going.
Right. Because the only way you fail is by quitting. The only way you don't get what you want is by throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
And I think this topic on perfection, and hopefully everyone really looks at where they're trying to be perfect in their life and just change that mindset, and think of how great you really are doing. We focus so much on that one thing that isn't going well, but we forget about the 100 other things that we're really doing great. So it's really important. So, Haley, do you have anything else to add?
Nope. I would just say that the key to happiness is don't be a perfectionist, and that the key to following your program is small changes over time gives us the consistency, which gives us the results.
Right, because if you don't make the changes, you'll never maintain the weight. So if you're not making the lifestyle changes, even if you do lose the weight, it's going to come back.
Yep.
So so this video is really to create awareness. And then Tuesday is our tips for helping you deal with that perfectionist attitude.
Yeah.
So look for those, and we'll be posting those. And we would love to hear from all of you guys and hear, what all of the great things that you're focusing on, and not the few things that didn't go well.
Yes. Comment below. Tell us what you're doing.
Exactly. All right. Bye, Haley.